Hi, and welcome back to the channel. The number one mistake that we HSPs make is trying to keep up with non-HSP energy. That's what the topic of today's video is going to be. But before I launch into that, let me just take a moment to reassure you that this channel isn't always going to be about, you know, overcoming challenges and the challenges of being an HSP. There are, in fact, considerable pluses to being an HSP, and we want to embrace and talk about those as well. However, because I'm a new channel, I want people to join the channel because they feel it is a place to get support and maybe get some answers and techniques to help them with their challenges. And let's face it, most people come to YouTube searching for the answer to a problem, unless they, are watching cute cat videos. But for the most part, people come to search for answers and solutions to a problem. And so just going on and on and on about how great HSPs are and what all those strengths are is important, but not what I want to focus on in my first few videos. So I just wanted you to know that it's not always going to be about challenges and implementing strategies, although that will be a good part of what it is that we offer. And what I want to do in this next few videos is I want to talk about common mistakes that we make as HSPs and how we could maybe look at those a little bit differently and implement things differently. And what I'll do probably is put them all in a playlist, common mistakes HSPs make, something really original like that, so that they'll all be in one place. Okay, let's get to today's topic, which I will repeat that the number one biggest mistake that HSPs make is trying to keep up with non-HSP energy. Before I realized I was an HSP, I thought the goal was to, um, toughen up, push through, be less affected, keep up with everyone else. And I think a lot of you can probably relate to that. But let's talk about how that approach can backfire. Because truth be told, I can keep up with HSP energy if I have to. If one has enough determination, grit, willpower, call it whatever you want, it is possible for you to keep up with that type of pace for a period of time. But the damage to your emotional health is probably not worth it. And when we try to live a non-HSP life, the end result can look something like this. You start canceling plans at the last minute because you just don't have the energy to take them on. You've hit a wall and you just can't take on that event, even though it was something that you really wanted to do. Or you go along because you feel like you've made a commitment and you don't want to let people down. And then you go and have a really miserable time because you don't have enough energy in your emotional tank. Or you feel fine until you don't. Energy seems steady, and then all of a sudden, boom, it just falls off a cliff. And it seems to come from out of nowhere, although in reality, there were signs that you either ignored or just didn't see. So raise your hand if you're guilty of this one. Oh, here comes my kitty. Okay, he's going to help me make the video. You end up needing an entire day or more to recover from the day that you spent trying to match HSP energy. So it shouldn't take you that long to recover unless you're consistently operating outside of your HSP comfort zone. Your body starts to physically ache. Now, this doesn't apply to all HSPs. It does apply to me. When I start to get overwhelmed and doing too much, I will start to get physical aches and pains, headaches, backaches, just body aches from head to toe. And that is the universe's way of telling me that I have taken on too much. You can't focus. Now, This doesn't mean you're ADHD, although you can be, but that's not my field of expertise. But only that you're so drained that you just can't concentrate in that moment. Or you start dreading events that you actually enjoy. If you ignore your own energy needs for a long time, nothing's going to feel like fun anymore. And it's not because you don't like these activities, just know it's going to cost you afterwards and you feel like it's not worth it. You become irritable or withdrawn seemingly out of nowhere. Your system is overloaded, but it comes out as mood shifts rather than fatigue. And trust me, I thought I was just a raving you know what until I figured out that I was an HSP. I felt like I was way too often grouchy and irritable and it was, where in reality, if I had just known what it was that was triggering me, I could have taken steps to mediate it, and everybody in my circle, including myself, would have been a whole lot happier. You overthink interactions long after they've occurred. Your brain is still processing things long after the moment is done. And if you keep heaping more on and heaping more on, this can be a problem for an HSP on a good day. You throw in trying to keep up with non-HSP energy and jam pack your day, that alone can torpedo you. You start to question your own value and your self-esteem takes a hit. Now, what you're essentially doing, and I don't mean to be insulting, is you're living a lie when you act like a non-HSP. And it's a well-intentioned lie, but it's not who you are at your core. And if you start acting consistently like a non-HSP, you're going to start to look at what others seem to do apparently effortlessly. And for you, it's a struggle and a challenge. And you can't help but run into thoughts of, why can't I do this the way everybody else does? It's going to do a number on your self-esteem. Or your world can start to slowly shrink without you meaning to. So saying no more often, canceling plans, avoiding things, not because you want to avoid them, but because you're just trying to protect your precious energy. And that's fine from time to time, and that's one of our implementation strategies. If you want to keep up consistently with non-HSP energy, you are going to be constantly spending your energy on what you and others think you should spend your energy on, and that never ends well. So yeah, that approach can backfire spectacularly. Don't ask me how I know. Trust me on this one. But for me, once I discovered that this was an inherent wiring in my body, then it was as if someone gave me permission to be the way that I am, and I could act accordingly. Now, that's not saying I feel like I don't have to coexist in a non-HSP world. I get that non-HSPers are 80 to 85% of the population, and we all have to function and get along. But now I'm able to do that while balancing my own needs. So here's a personal story about that. This was particularly challenging for me when my kids were in elementary school. So I was a single mother to two non-HSP daughters. And single parenthood in the 90s wasn't quite as common as it is now. And I was hell-bent on making sure that my girls had everything that two-parent families had. So I made sure that we owned a house with a nice yard for them to play in. Of course, that also meant I had a yard to maintain and a mortgage to pay, but anything for your kids. And I let them attend as many after-school events as I could afford. So, I mean, it was constant. There was karate and horseback riding and gymnastics and musical instruments, swimming lessons, soccer, basketball, and countless classes that I don't even remember because it's been a while. And there I was shuttling them from activity to activity, and that didn't count the birthday parties and the play dates and everything else that they were involved in. And it was just like crazy cutting into my energy to the point where I could barely function. And I was burning the candle at both ends. And that is the kiss of death for an HSP. And that all happened before I even knew what an HSP was. But even without being told, I eventually sensed that for whatever reason, I couldn't keep up that pace. And what I ultimately told the girls is that you can pick one extracurricular activity at a time. And they did. And that worked out great. They had autonomy over what they could do. They got to try a lot of different things. And I saved brain cells on my day-to-day activities. So it really was a win-win for everybody. If there's one revelation I can give to you as an HSP, it is this. Write this down or imprint it on your brain somehow. You are not designed to operate at the same pace, intensity, or stimulation as a non-HSP. You just were created differently. And just to quickly review, HSPs take in more than our non-HSP friends, family, and coworkers. So sights, sounds, emotions, smells, crowds, noises, feelings, we are in effect constantly being bombarded. And when we're around other people, we can easily be on absorption overload. And all that happens while we're looking perfectly normal to the rest of the world. It's kind of like getting hit by a 2-ton truck while the rest of the world is just out there enjoying the view. There is no way we can consistently go through life acting like a non-HSP. It's just not feasible. But a lot of us try anyway. We jam pack our schedules. We say yes when we already feel maxed out. We tell ourselves, I'm good for this. If so-and-so can handle this, then I know I can. Yeah, right. We take on tasks, particularly at work or with our kids, that we know we're ill-suited for, but we want to be a good, team player. Or we think the outcome is worth it, so, we suck it up for the greater good. And then we wonder why we're completely drained halfway through the day. We all too often assume that the goal is to just keep up. So we structure our lives the same way. We ignore our need for downtime. We push through stimulation that is already too much. We try to maintain a pace that doesn't really work for us. And on the surface, it looks like we're doing fine until we're not. HSPs process more deeply. We have more sensory input, we have more emotional input, and we have more mental processing happening all at once, which means your system is using much more energy than a non-HSP all day long. So it's not that you run out of energy faster. It's that you're using more of it in everything that you do. And that's what makes you get depleted. And it's not that you can't do these things. It's just that doing them the same way that everyone else does, it just comes at a higher cost. So let's talk about some shifts, okay, in our thinking. Instead of asking, what should I be able to handle in the same way that everyone else does, start asking yourself, what pace actually works better for me? And how can I structure this task or activity so that my productivity and enjoyment will be at its best? Let's talk about some different techniques to help you reframe this and stop this practice of trying to keep up with people you were never made to keep up with. Number one, stop. Right now, just stop. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop comparing yourself to others. Realize that you're a unique individual with a unique set of skills and that your energy is one of your most precious commodities and it needs to be protected at all cost. Make that your top priority and you'll be amazed at how quickly things start to turn around. Your energy is a finite, high-value resource. The goal is not to stretch it thinner. The goal is to use it intentionally. Number 2, learn to say no, or at the very least, not now. Not everything requires a yes. Learn to say, I'd love to, but I need to check my schedule. That line will get you out of more commitments, and the pause alone will stop you from overcommitting. Number 3, be sure that the people in your trusted circle are very much aware of your HSP traits. Now, notice I said trusted circle. I don't think you should confide in the checkout clerk at the Piggly Wiggly that you're overwhelmed today because they were out of your favorite shampoo and the line was too long. That's not going to get you anywhere. The people that you trust, if you let them know, then when you need to step back and recharge, it's not going to be, oh, she's being so distant. It's going to be, oh, she needs that time for downtime and to recharge. They will understand. If they're in your circle, they will understand. And if they don't understand and they goad you into doing activities and take things on that you don't feel equipped to handle in that moment, yeah, I would question if they should even be in your trusted circle, but that's a topic for another video. But that mindset, once they understand that it's how you're wired, that's going to remove a ton of unnecessary friction. Because when your closest confidants understand what pushes your HSP buttons, they're going to learn to not take things personally when you need to take care of your own needs. Number 4, plan your life around your energy, not around your time. This one shift can make things change dramatically. Most people plan their day based on time. How much time do they have? Can they allocate getting from place to place? And as long as the timing works out fine, that works for them. HSPs have to schedule their days based on energy. 2 hours of errands, a lunch with friends, and then an appointment. That might look fine on paper, but your system sees it very differently. Maybe try scheduling non-draining or energy-enhancing activities alternately with high focus or high drain activities. For example, for me, doing everything I have to do to put out a YouTube video is a little bit draining. Not that I don't love doing it. I'm really committed to this channel and I really want to spend time on it, but it can be a draining activity. I'm not a natural in front of the camera. My technical skills are not great. I'm just filming with my iPhone and a very small microphone. And there's the whole sense of, I'm feeling on when I'm on camera. So what I do to alleviate that is I may spread the entire process of creating a video over 3 days. I will research it. I will write out the entire script, or at least bullet point, depends on what the topic is and how confident I feel talking about it. And then on another day, I might record it. And then on yet another day, I might edit it, because I gotta tell you, editing is also not my forte. So I don't push through the process. That would be counterproductive. And although I take 3 days to do the video, it's not 3 solid days. I intersperse it with other activities that are not draining. I throw in a load of laundry, I play with my cats, I work out, which I do at home, by the way, because I prefer to avoid people when I'm working out. So if you can control the schedule, intersperse your non-draining activities with your draining activities. Number 5, identify your energy leaks and design around them. So let's think about this a minute. You have to know your triggers. Is it crowds? Is it noise? Is it hunger? Is it rushing? Is it clutter? Is it emotional tension? Whatever it is, you know what they are. Get proactive to mitigate those. Bring snacks, build in enough buffer time, leave early, walk to the appointment instead of driving if that's possible. Sit outside as opposed to sitting inside if that makes you feel a little more centered. Remember this, small adjustments can make a massive difference. Number 6, keep your home life serene and uncluttered. I think, never done a study on this, but I think that some level of minimalism goes hand in hand with being an HSP. And by minimalism, I don't mean you have to sleep on a mattress on the floor, but the calmer you can keep your home environment, the more restorative it's going to be. And that's important for HSPs. If you want me to do a video about how to set up your home so it's a calming influence, let me know in the comments and I'll put that together for you. But the bottom line is, if the outside world is stimulating, you want your inside world to be just the opposite of that. You want less noise, less clutter, fewer visual demands. You don't need perfection in your house. You just want some intentional calm. Because if your home isn't restoring you, you're never resetting your system. You're always on some level of high alert. Number 7 is build in exit strategies. This is a game changer. And what I mean by that is, before you go into anything, social event, outing, even running errands, okay, know to the best that you can know how long you're going to stay, when you'll leave, and also know that you can leave. And nobody is demanding that you stay till the end of 90% of events that you attend. You don't need to endure everything to completion. 2 hours of having a great time or 30 minutes of having a great time beats 4 hours where you go home and just implode because you took on too much. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say as an HSP is, "That's enough for today, bye-bye." And remember, the goal isn't to do less, it's to stop paying such a high price for the things that you do. So in summary, if you've been trying to keep up with everyone else, it's not surprising that you feel drained. It's not that you're doing too little, it's that you're asking too much of your system in the wrong way. It wasn't designed to live like that. You weren't designed to live like that. Once you start working with your sensitivity as opposed to constantly fighting things, that's where solutions start to feel sustainable. If you have a strategy that works for you as an HSP, please put it in the comments, because I'm sure it will help everybody who's watching this video. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We would love to have you in our community. This channel is all about thriving within your sensitivity, not working against it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.